Good evening. I am going to go ahead and call the roll to establish a quorum. Nicole.
Here.
Michelle. Dawn. Rodney. I think Rodney just joined. Rodney, I'm calling the roll. Rodney?
I'm here. I'm going to stay on mute. They're putting a new roof on my house, so I don't want you guys to hear that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Robbie.
Here.
Benji. Paul. Okay. Yeah, you were still muted, but I saw you say here, Paul. I see you. Okay, having established a quorum, I hereby call the Neuse Charter School Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. on June 29th, 2021. I will now read our ethics statement. Conflict of interest reminder per North Carolina General Statute 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual comment, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. Okay, next we will move on to reading and approval of the minutes. We can read these aloud or silently, or if everyone has read them, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
It's Robbie. So moved that we approve the minutes for tonight.
Thank you, Robbie. Do I have a second?
Booker, second.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay, are there any corrections? All right, then, all in favor. Nicole?
Aye.
Michelle is still not here. Rodney?
Aye.
Robbie?
Aye.
Paul? Okay, I saw the thumbs up. I still can't hear you even when I see you go off mute, but that's okay. I saw the eye. Okay, so the minutes are approved. Okay, Brad, do we have anyone who would like to make a public comment?
Not at this time. I'll let you know if somebody speaks up.
Okay, do you want me to wait a few seconds just to make sure?
No, go ahead. Like I said, we're running off about a 15-second, 20-second delay. Go ahead,
Yeah,
and I'll find a point and interject if somebody needs to.
Okay, perfect. All righty then. Okay, we do not have any micro training or guest discourse, but hello, Dr. Carpenter, welcome. We're glad to see you. Dr. Edwards, do we have any correspondence from our authorizer?
We do. I just wanted to let everybody know that we went through our federal monitoring audit for our Title I, II, and IV programs this year. And out of 33 critical areas that we had to prove that we were in compliance with, we had 3 findings in which our documentation was lacking. So we had to produce some documentation for that, and we found out on June 25th that our audit was approved and closed, and it's a 5-year cycle, so that won't happen again until 25-26.
That's great. Wonderful. That's it from the authorizer? All right. I like good news. All righty then. I guess we're ready for your superintendent's report.
Okay. Well, hello and good evening. I invited a few friends to join tonight because we have some highlights for you all. The school year was quite interesting, as you know, and hectic and lots of moving parts in all different directions. But I did invite Ms. Matthews, our K-5 director, Dr. Schwartzlander, our Dean of Student Services, Director of Student Services, Ms. Nowinski, our Director of Academics, and Coach and AD Browning to share some highlights from this past school year. So with that being said, Ms. Matthews, I will navigate and you can just go ahead and begin.
Okay, well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me so that I can share some information about the Lower Academy. It's been a great year. I think the year wouldn't be right unless we started off with the fact that we were successful in navigating our virtual instruction this year. We started out on day one with our teachers being fully trained and every student being able to navigate the online format, including in kindergarten, and they continued to make growth throughout the year. I would say if we looked at the North Carolina computer competencies that were taught and mastered this year, it would be far ahead above anything that would have been any other school year. We had a news charter, had fifth graders did a completely virtual science fair this year. All of our students participated, and we actually had students that moved on to regional, which was also online. We also had a virtual art and music show this year. Ms. Collins, our art teacher, alongside Mr. Coble, our music teacher, worked with our students in K-5, and they presented their work, and it was opened up to all of our news charter families and the school community. This year was our first year for MAP testing. It was implemented K-5. Our students continued to show growth throughout the year. Teachers were provided with data that they had never been provided with before, and they were able to personalize and have provide meaningful learning experiences for our students. I really think that it was a game changer for approaching and addressing the needs of our students at News Charter School. Third grade reading, we know that's the Read to Achieve year for North Carolina, and there are certain benchmarks that need to be passed. We went into EOG testing this year with 27 students who had not yet met the Read to Achieve for North Carolina requirements. After EOGs, we had 17 students after the Read to Achieve test. That brought that number down to 13. Out of those 13 students, I have 10 of those in summer school this year that are receiving targeted instruction. And I fully feel that those numbers will be less once we finish summer school tomorrow, which finally brings me to summer school, which we provided summer school for June, during the time of June 1st to the 30th. We have been fortunate to have some of the highest quality educators teach our summer school this year. We planned with Title I. Our program served close to 90 first through fifth grade rising students. Today, I would like to report that our rising fourth graders took their math test, the first time since April. And out of that, with our 5-week program, they were actually, the average growth was 9 points. I think the biggest growth was 20, the lowest was 4. But that basically says to me that our summer school program has been a success. So I'm very excited for the next school year and very happy about what we did during this last school year.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews. Yeah, those scores that came back today were super exciting to see. In the 612 program, I'll read these highlights briefly. Many teachers held online EOG review sessions. AP teachers held in-person mock tests. There was a lot of review that was done before all of the testing that happened at the end of the year. Again, MAP testing occurred in grades 6 through 10, most indicated growth. As Ms. Matthews said, data was analyzed and provided to staff, and the instruction was aligned in response to that data. The English department added many book titles to its high school syllabi with an eye toward well-read graduates and lifelong readers. Speaking of graduates, as I reported in the last meeting, we did have a 100% graduation rate, with our students earning over $800,000 in scholarships. And one of those graduates going to one of the hardest colleges to get into in America, which is Stanford. And that was Miss Nori Dupree. We held a homecoming tailgate event, a prom at the farm, a senior clap out, a senior picnic, and a live graduation despite COVID. And I want to take just a quick moment and just thank the parents who provided those additional opportunities for student gatherings when CDC protocol prevented us from doing things on campus. They put a lot of time and effort into that to make sure that year was special for our students. Mr. King and Ms. Miller did induct new NHS members. NHS is National Honor Society, and Ms. McCaskey recently created a new website for them. Ms. Ward will pick up National Junior Honor Society in August to resume that tradition for our middle grade students. Our middle grades and high school musicians thrived under the guidance of Ms. Williams. 3 students won all district chairs. 2 students were selected to the UNCP Honors Band, and a generous news family provided scholarship opportunities for 6 of our musicians to attend the ECU band camp. Our robotics team made it through 2 qualifying rounds to compete at the state level. Coach Browning is going to address the athletics in just a moment, but there were many accomplishments there as well. And then finally, our students somehow managed to create an excellent yearbook, even though they, as a collective group, were never all in the same place at the same time. For the EC department, Mr. Squibb provided this information, which I'll read through quickly. He says, through team collaboration, the EC team supported all EC students to match their support from September through the school year. This included related services such as speech and OT. Through grant writing, the teachers were able to identify at-risk students and provide additional support during after-school hours. During the year, the EC department had 98% parent participation in IEP meetings on the first attempt. All EC teachers and TAs provided support for students after work hours during their personal time, and that is in line with their commitment and care for all of the students. Despite the restrictions, the EC team maintained 100% compliance with the referral timeline. Ms. Flythe and the Title II tutors excuse me, provided individualized support for hundreds of students face-to-face and virtually, and this was vital for our students' growth and success. And then finally, Ms. Garcia directly supported all EL learners, English language learners, providing them with support throughout the year. I'll hand it off to Dr. Schwartzlander.
Thank you, Dr. Edwards. Thank you, Board of Directors, for allowing us this time to share some of our highlights. This year, with the help of our counseling team, we were able to make contact with and keep track of all of our students. And I know that that may sound a little unnecessary to say, but in COVID, in remote learning, lost students were a concern. And I'm very proud to say that we knew and had contact with all of our students. We delivered thousands of free lunches to our student community this year through the help of the Triple S cafeteria staff. Our generous Cougar community made Noose Giving a huge success and a tradition that's going to continue on at Noose Charter School. Our testing team tested from December until June, and they did an amazing job. We administered and communicated 17 different categories of testing. 100% of students required to take EOCs tested, and all but 5 students in grades 3 through 8 for EOGs completed those end of grade tests this year as well. Through the collective effort of all of our staff, as Dr. Edwards said, 100% of our enrolled Cougars graduated this year. We were able to make home visits this year, which we had not been able to do in the past, to offer additional support to students and families who needed it. Our counseling team continued to work with small group and individual students to support their social emotional health. They did this virtually and they did this face-to-face. With the help of Mr. Williams, we were able to provide technology resources to families so they could engage in online learning. We are restructuring our student services department moving forward to allow for a more intensive and focused college advising experience. Miss Amy McGinnis is going to be stepping into that role and really focusing on our juniors and seniors and honing a real targeted approach to college and career advising for them. And as we're moving through the summer school was an amazing success. Our Cougar Camp experience is going to launch at the end of July for grades 6 through 8 and rising 9th, as well as all of our new to news families, grades K-12. And what I'm most excited to share with you and with our community is that last Thursday in July, we're going to have NCS Community Days. We're going to have the opportunity for all of our families to come out on campus, be together, and really start to build those connections of being a Cougar family once again. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. And finally, Coach and AD Browning, you're up.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. This year, we were able to field 8 middle school teams and 12 high school teams. There were 4 middle school teams and 4 high school teams that we've had in the past that didn't make. Most of the time, it was due to a shift in seasons compared to who we compete with. So an example of that would be our middle school girls and boys cross country normally compete with private schools or Christian schools who maintained a traditional season for cross country, whereas we were not able to participate in athletics at that time. We had 41 middle school girls participate, 39 middle school boys, 53 high school girls, and 60 high school boys that rostered on our teams. And GPA, when you compare student athletes to non-athletes or student athletes to the student body as a whole, our student athletes are raising the bar and getting the job done in the classroom as well as on the fields of competition. So competition, what are the notable achievements? That's what everyone wants to know. So our varsity girls volleyball team for the first time clawed their way to the Elite 8 of the North Carolina High School Athletic Association playoffs. They were on the road for all 3 of their playoff games with no fans allowed in the building. No visiting fans, which would be us, allowed in the building. Our parents took portable movie screens, tailgated in the parking lots, watched us on the best platforms that they could to support us, and it was a really exciting time. Our boys soccer team made it to the Sweet 16. Again, they were on the road quite a bit. Visiting fans were allowed in because they were outside participating, so that was a lot of fun to attend those. And then the high school girls soccer team for the second time in school history made it to the Sweet 16. High school girls soccer was also the conference champions. So taking a look at the side of individual sports, we had a cross-country runner. Sabrina Brownlee, as a freshman, finished 6th in the region. In a traditional year, that would have qualified her for the state track meet. The field was shortened this year, so she did not get to participate in that. High school girls track, we had several conference champions. Destiny Faison in shot put and discus, Julia Bridges in the 800 mile and 2 mile. A lot of second places with Sabrina. John LePage got first place in the 400. Corey McGee in hurdles did very well. These kids all moved on to represent News Charter in the regional track meet. We thinned out from region. We sent 2 to state, and only 1 was able to participate due to some injuries. Wrestling had a great year. They had a smaller group of wrestlers than they have in the past, but they had 3 conference champions, Camden, Matthew, and Mario. Moving on to regionals, Camden got a 3rd, Matthew got a 4th, which they qualified for state, and they were able to compete in the state meet this year. Beyond News Charter, we've got Joseph Kelly, who signed to play baseball at Belmont Abbey, Madeline Clark, who's moving on to play volleyball at Meredith College. And I'm really excited really excited for Katie Cole, who's our first D1 athlete. She'll be cheering for Hawaii. So we're looking forward to coordinate her signing coming up. Thank you so much for your time. There's so much more I would love to tell you, but I know our time is limited, and thank you.
Very good. Thank you. I'll take just a quick moment and pause here if there's any comments or anything or any questions.
Dr. Edwards, this is Nicole Booker. I would just like to commend all our academic and athletic achievements. It's so exciting to hear as a board member everything that's happened this year, and so encouraging, and I appreciate it.
You are most welcome. We were excited to put this together and share it with you all.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Nicole said, and I agree completely. I'm so excited to hear about everything. I think this year it's been unlike any other. A lot of these things many of us would typically already know, but because we weren't able to be together and in person very much at all, this has been really great to hear about everything. And so obviously we're all really, really proud, but also very grateful for all of the hard work and effort and organization and hours and hours and hours that I know went on behind the scenes to make all of this actually happen. And we're really, really grateful. There are an awful lot of schools, I would say the vast majority of schools that can't look back on this past year and with as many wonderful highlights as News Charter has, and that's because of all of you and the rest of the staff and everyone who worked so hard for our students and our families, and we're really, really grateful. So thank you.
Our pleasure. All right, so we're going to move on now to the parent satisfaction survey results. And I know this is little, so I'm going to do my best to make it a touch bigger. Is that okay? Can everybody see it?
It's better, yeah. I mean, if you go ahead and tell us what you want us to see. My old eyes struggle, but.
Well, I've linked it there in my report if you all want to pull it up and look at it. So essentially, there were 176 responses. We're going to work on getting that number up next year. But the third grade had the most responses. They represented with the most responses. And you'd be able to see that, but I've zoomed it in so much that you can't even see third grade. And then for the next question, most of the responses came from families that were in the first year, followed closely behind with families that were in their 5th and 6th and 9th years. So a varied group of perspectives. So on a scale of 1 to 5, this addresses academics. The question here was, how would you rate your child's academic experience? And then the 3.7 addresses the social emotional experience. And so, of course, a 5 is always the goal, and we have work to do here. But considering all that we have been through this year and a lot of adjustments and a lot of pivoting, a 3.9 and a 3.7 are not too bad. Moving on, there's just a couple of key questions that I felt might be helpful for you all to get a feel for some of the parent responses. This one was about being informed about the progress of their children, and you can see the majority is in the upper section of agree or strongly agree. This question addresses communication and how well did we communicate. The majority said that we met their expectations, And then below and exceeded are pretty close, closely tied there. In asking, how often would you like to receive communication? That yellow bar right there means once a week. So currently the communication plan that we used for the last school year communicated with families on Mondays and Fridays. And so we are reviewing how we plan to communicate with our families in the coming year. And we're going to keep this information in mind. This question addresses how much effort children put into school, and overwhelming majority of those who responded said that their kids put in quite a bit of effort when it comes to doing their schoolwork. When students are showing an advanced level of understanding, this question asks, does the teacher provide more challenging learning opportunities? And on the whole, the majority said sometimes. And so when we look at areas for growth and improvement and focus, enrichment and enhancement will certainly always be at the top, but this reinforces that there is work to do in this area. When asked if their child has too much homework or not enough, the majority said the right amount, which I thought was pretty interesting, considering that we were in COVID and a lot of students were at home doing all the work. So I thought that was an interesting response. How often do you have to help your child understand material that is taught in class? And this one too, the majority said frequently, followed closely behind sometimes. So again, when we look at areas for focus and growth, this is another one. And then based on this year, how confident were our families that their child was ready for the next grade level? And the responses were either very confident, extremely confident, somewhat confident, though we did have some respond that they were not confident at all, or not so much. This next one speaks to whether their child enjoys school. And my light just went out. It's okay. And the majority of responses here were a lot, a great deal, or a moderate amount, which was a bit encouraging for us. Next one was, how confident are you that NOOS will help your child navigate any social emotional issues? And that was closely responded to, either somewhat confident or quite confident. How much do we value the diversity of our children? Majority of the response is quite a bit, followed by some. I'll go back to this one in just a moment, but wanted to share how much the weekly communications from me are read, and an overwhelming majority said, yes, they read them every week. And then again, from the academy director position, the Mondays and the Fridays, most of our families are reading those and staying connected. This section here was one I wanted to highlight because it allows, again, a space for families to say something great about one of their child's teachers or several. And I won't go through them all, but there was 142 responses to that, and they were absolutely delightful. But some of the key ones that were mentioned, as you can see, Ms. Cade, Ms. Rocchio, Mr. Coble, Ms. Dunn, Ms. Blaylock, Ms. Miller, Coach Browning, Ms. Showmate, Ms. Kepley, Ms. Atkinson, Mr. Squibb, Ms. Rose, Mr. Matisoff, Coach P, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Thigpen, Ms. Cochran, Ms. Bridges, and the list goes on and on. But certainly think it's important to highlight those because the parents took a moment to highlight those. So I thought that was important to share with you. So I will pause here for questions or comments about this information.
Dr. Edwards, this is Nicole Booker again. As a parent who also, took the survey, what were your thoughts on the effectiveness, or, I guess the effectiveness of the actual survey? How, a survey is only as good as questions. So I wondered after, at the end, how did you feel about the actual questions in the survey?
I felt on the whole, they gave me a good baseline for where to go with end of the year surveys moving forward. Because we had a small number of families that responded to it out of the whole 900. I have to take that into consideration when I'm looking at the responses. But on the whole, I feel like these questions really provided a solid baseline for building questions in the future.
Dr. Edwards, is there any thoughts you all had on how to increase the response rate?
We are working on that with our communication plan. But I was, in realistically thinking about it, just considering that a lot of our students were off campus this past school year, some of these questions might have been hard for our families to answer if they had not been here. And so out of 176, I certainly want more than that. But we are working on ways to increase participation. It's a little bit difficult because we want this to be completely anonymous. But if anybody has any ideas, I'm all ears.
So how many actual families do we have? I mean, I know we've got like 900 something students, but do we know, does that represent, say, roughly 300 families, or?
I do not know off the top of my head, but I can find out. I think it's more than that. I know it's more than that.
Yeah, when I look at data like this, I always think about percentages and trends, because absolute numbers and small numbers are irrelevant, but percentages and small numbers are even less relevant when they're high percentages. So that's why I asked the question. It may just good for a reference in the future. And then, look, I think the key with some of this baseline data we've done for a couple of years is, we have to figure out what methodology we're going to use and then start trending it, right, to show the impact of the things we do. So, I mean, at a minimum, it's a good starting point for a baseline of data, like you said. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Dr. Edwards, this is Jane. I also think that in some respects, as parents and families get accustomed to knowing that this is going to be happening, that hopefully we'll get more participation. But I also wonder about considering communication about it, sort of throughout the year. And maybe even considering doing one at the end of the first semester, so that, again, people are like, oh, we do this at the end of each semester, and kind of, looking for it. I don't know that you might be able to track that data in a similar way that you track like map testing and things like that also, if you did it twice. So just a thought that then, I think so many times you get to the end of the school year and it's not just our students, it's our students and our families, and sometimes our teachers who are like, okay, we're done. And so it might be worth considering doing it slightly before the end of the school year, where they still have enough information, but they're still in that routine. And I think next year, this coming year, when, hopefully we're all, much back closer to normal, it might be a little bit easier also. But if people are still in that sort of school routine, I think that might help. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. And I do hope that once, some sense of normalcy begins, I don't know if we'll ever be normal, but that we will have more contact with our families and can be more communicative in person. So I'm hopeful.
Absolutely. But thank you very much for doing that. I think that, I think it's a really good start. I think we got some good baseline data to, to start with, and it'll be interesting to see with all data from this year, whatever it is, how much of an anomaly it is because of everything that happened with COVID. But just excited that that you guys reached out to parents and really want to have our families engaged. And I think that's so important. And I think that it's, I think that it's definitely going to increase. Participation will definitely increase, like you said. I think the more that you're able to communicate with families. So thank you.
Sure. All right. Next on my agenda is the spring map data that Ms. Nowinski is going to review. Let me make this larger. Whoa, is that good?
Yes, I might have to go left to right a little bit, but that's okay.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm excited to continue the good news train, I hope, with the end of year map data. And so you notice this format is like you've seen 2 other times already this school year. This is our end of year information. The graphs and the colors coordinate with the score key that you see off to, to the left, where, the kids who are in blue have scored at the 81st percentile or higher as compared to their peers across the nation, and so on and so forth down the line. And so 71% of our kindergarten through 10th grade kids are scoring at average or above in math when we look at end of year scores. 74% of our kids are scoring average or above in reading when we look at their end of year scores. And we did a really tough thing and increased the number of kids that we tested for end of year by asking all of our families, even Plan C families, to bring our kids on campus, and it paid off. We were able to test 779 students in math and 777 in reading. And you all have this form, I believe. You can look at the other tabs, but that's about 50 kids more than what we did in the middle of the year. So that was really exciting that our families were willing to bring them on campus so that we could get some really good information about their kids. When we're looking at growth, which is what MAP is measuring, it also gives us an idea of what every student's projected growth is, and 41% of our kids met their projected growth in math, and 38% met their projected growth in reading. Now, that doesn't mean that all of the other kids didn't grow at all. We still have kids who grew, they just might not have met their projected growth at that time, but these are still really great numbers considering everything that we've been through this year. If you want to scroll down a little bit. When we look at each grade level, so our goal this year was really for our kids to grow 1 to 1.25 years in 1 year's time, right? Obviously, you go to school for 1 year, you hope to grow 1 year. And so we kept that goal for this year. And in kindergarten through 10th grade, all of our grade levels, based on their end of year score, are scored above the national norm. 8 out of 11 of the grade levels scored above the national norm in math for end of year, but the 3 who didn't, we really should say that they met that end of year score. They were within 2 RIT points of meeting the national average. And so when we look at how we started the year and how we ended the year, we've made some really great gains in student learning. It's already been mentioned a couple times tonight that we've not had this much information on student learning. We get real-time data 3 times a year so that we can adjust our instruction quickly so that we can support kids and help them continue to grow. Moving forward, we're looking at 21-22 school year. So moving forward, these MAP scores are going to be a key component of our professional learning communities. So shortly after beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year results come in, we will be meeting with grade levels so that we can look at individual students and figure out what our next steps are for kids who are struggling, but also figure out what our next steps are for those kids who need to be challenged further. Title I teachers and our reading tutors will continue to support kids who need that. And this will help us maintain our focus on mastery and growth over compliance. And then we have said 21-22 school year and beyond, we are expecting to see 1.25 years of growth in 1 year's time. Our strategic plan talks about raising the bar in education. So we are striving for more than 1 year's growth in 1 year's time, and we are well positioned to do that based on this end of year data. So we will adhere to the strategic plan so that we can meet our 21-22 goal using research-based instructional strategies that are outlined in Hattie's Visible Learning book. We will be talking about the teacher performance rubric here in just a minute, but continuing to provide teachers with frequent feedback on classroom instruction so that we can have this culture of continuous improvement. And then an important piece is also implementing rigorous curriculum to support that learning. So maintaining our IXL and Newsella focus, but also adding in Wonders for kindergarten through 5th grade, Study Sync for 6th through 8th grade for our ELA teachers. And then Eureka Math will be implemented for kindergarten through 5th grade and rolling up to 8th grade year after year. So, these are the strategies that we have in place that will continue to move us forward and get us to that 1.25 goal that we have for next year. And I'm very confident that we can do that. I think the most exciting thing for me to say about these MAP scores is the level of conversations that we had at the end of the year about student learning and growth were so deep and meaningful compared to when we first started this process, when we weren't really sure what this information was giving us about kids. And as teachers learned what this meant for our students, as they were talking to each other about what to do to help our students, the conversations at the end of the year PLCs were just so uplifting, and they saw so much meaning in the data that really helped push our kids to be successful at the end of the year. So that's what I have for you tonight. Any questions?
I think it'll be interesting, like as we watch the data, as some of the other assessment methodologies come in, later in the year and into the fall of next year. It'll be really good for us to kind of reflect back and say, how does this stuff correlate with those other points, right? Just from like a triangulation effect, because if we think one's really looks one way and tells one story, but yet we find another one that tells something totally different, we've got to figure out those differences. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, Nikki, thank you so much for sharing this. And I agree with Rodney. I think that it's, and with everything that you've said, that, it's really exciting that we have this data now. I think it's going to be really, really beneficial. And I'm happy to see how many of our students met projected growth in math and reading and all of that. But I think I'm equally excited to see how this will impact and sort of guide what we do for the students who didn't meet projected growth, right? For the students who are still struggling, and we know that this year has been challenging for all of our students, and so I think I know we, like every other school in the country, we have some ground to make up with a lot of students because of COVID and so many things. So I'm excited that we not only know where the growth is happening, but I think we will have a much better idea where the growth isn't happening, and we can really target those areas and those students, and hopefully help them get back on track faster than we would have been able to without that data. Is that an accurate understanding of one way that we can use this data?
Couldn't have said it better myself. And just to elaborate just a little bit more on that, it not only for the kids who are struggling, but it allows us to see individual areas within those contents to help students. So because even our high achieving students have struggling areas, right? So it really helps us delineate that as well. So we're not just looking at a low score, we're looking at strands of information that kids need to master. So we can help all levels of kids improve in their individual area of struggle. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Nowinski, for going over that for us.
My pleasure.
Next on my agenda, which is purple, is the teacher performance rubric. I have mentioned this several times, and it is cited in our strategic plan, specifically domains 2 and 4. But we do need to get this formally approved by the board per the Office of Charter Schools. So I've shared this with you several times, but I do need your stamp of approval so that we can enact it and file it with OCS.
Okay, so Dr. Edwards, you've shared this with us in the past, and basically you just need us to vote on whether we approve this rubric. Is that correct?
Yes, I need, I have to have board approval to use this document.
Okay.
Can you scroll down just a little bit, or is that the bottom?
That's it.
So just so I understand, is this the basis by which you have to do performance evaluations of staff? Yeah. This is new. I've never seen that be mandated to the school. So that was
right.
So is the Office of Charter Schools trying to standardize across all charters?
No, they are allowing charters to utilize whichever rubric they think is most effective for assessing teacher performance on their campus. But what they are asking is that if we use something different than what they have put out, that we have to have it approved by our board.
So is this different than what they put out?
This is much different than what they put out.
This is what you're proposing we use, and we just have to have. Okay. I just understand that.
Does anybody else have questions for Dr. Edwards?
I'll make a motion we approve the rubric as presented by Dr. Edwards.
I second Robbie.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Nicole?
Aye.
I think Michelle stepped away. Dawn?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Robbie?
Aye.
And Paul? Can't see you anymore, Paul, because of where you are. Can anybody see Paul? I could never hear him. Did he give me a thumbs up? You can always put it in the chat too, Paul.
Yes, he gave a thumbs up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. Motion carries. Your rubric is approved.
Thank you so much. I do have another request for board approval. We are requesting that we utilize MSS HVAC services for this coming school year because this is a contract. I need to bring it to you. Some pieces of information that are helpful here. The current contract that we're with, our current vendor is $15,142. This new contract will increase that to $16,844, which is a budget increase of $1,702. However, we feel pretty certain that this is the right direction for us. They are going to provide significantly more support and help, and especially in the area of preventative maintenance. And so Josh spent a lot of time looking at different vendors and different options, and we have determined that this is the best option for us to move forward with this new vendor. And just to kind of show you what's included, the preventative maintenance is what's most important. Obviously, the filter changes and the inspections, of course, but our building continues to age and our systems do. This becomes more and more critical for us. So I am requesting kindly that the board will approve this new vendor for our HVAC services.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, Robbie.
Did I drop off?
I don't know. Did we lose Jane?
No, I was just on mute still. I apologize. Okay. All in favor. Thank you, Paul and Robbie, for the motion and the second. All in favor. Nicole.
I think we lost Jane.
But I did not hear anything. Can you hear me at all? Hello. Do you guys hear me?
I can't.
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah? Yes. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. I'm very
I can't,
confused. All right. Let's
Yes.
try this one more. Let's try this one more time. Okay. All in favor. Nicole.
Aye. And just to note that I'm going through a spotty area right now, so if you don't hear me, just move on.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Dawn.
Aye.
Rodney.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
And Paul.
Aye.
Yay, I heard you, Paul. Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much. Motion carries. Dr. Edwards, that was challenging, but we got there.
Thank you. The last two items on my agenda are just some touch bases. The Esr2 and Esr3 Funds, you may have heard this acronym used recently, but it's the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds. And we completed our grant process and received Esr2 and Esr3 funds to the tune of about $800,000. And we are very excited about that. I will be sharing with you in July what the plan is around how we're going to utilize those funds. Of course, there are significant restrictions on how we will be allowed to use those funds. But I will be sharing that plan with finance in July and then bringing it to the board thereafter.
That's a multi-year spend, right? Dr. Edwards?
It is. It's until 2024.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me make sure I speak correctly. It is Esr2 is a year before Esr3 ends. So I know it ends 2024. So it must be 2023. And then finally, I've just linked in there for you all the state document for our SEL program. It is something that we have to complete and have on file. Just wanted to put that in front of you. We will need to vote on that in July, but I wanted you all to have time to look at it and provide feedback prior to that. And with that, I am finally done.
Thank you very much. That was very comprehensive. Lots of really good news. That's all good stuff. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Edwards. Next on our agenda is our financial report. Our treasurer, Benji, was not able to join tonight. My understanding is that Finance Committee doesn't really have anything of substance to report. So we're just going to move on from that. Our standing committee reports. Executive committee didn't meet. We've already talked about finance. Academic affairs did not meet. Resource development, Paul, didn't meet. Is that correct?
Did not meet. Did not meet.
All right. That brings us to board development. Michelle.
Okay. So just a quick update. The new board member training is scheduled for July the 17th, and hope all the board members will be able to attend. The bylaws are with the attorney Gill, and I think Dr. Edwards heard back from him today that he would get back with us just as quickly as possible, because I think he's had them since about June 1st. And then the other item that we need to talk about tonight is vote on the board officers that were nominated at the last meeting. And those were Jane Jackson for chair, Michelle Denning for vice chair, Benji Woodard for treasurer, and Nicole Booker for secretary.
Okay, great, Michelle. So I will entertain motion to approve. Do we need to do these, Michelle, do we need to do these individually or as a slate?
You can do them as a slate, Jane. Did you hear me?
Yes, now I do. Okay, we can do them as a slate. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the slate of nominees for as Michelle stated.
Make a motion to approve slate of nominees for officers. Jane Jackson for chair, Michelle Denning for vice chair, and Benji Woodard for for treasurer, and Nicole Booker for secretary.
Great. Thank you very much, Paul. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second. This is Rob. Yep.
All right. Thank you, Dawn. And Robbie, thank you. Okay.
Yep.
All in favor. Nicole.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Rodney.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Our officers are officially reelected. Thank you all very much. Anything else from board development, Michelle?
No, I'll just say for the new board member training on July the 17th, that will be virtual also, just for the public's awareness. And then we'll give notice of when that training will be, and the link will be posted, though there will not be public comment at the during the training.
Great. All right. Thank you so much for that. Strategic planning, standing strategic planning committee did not meet. Robbie, facilities updates?
Yeah, we met with Dr. Edwards and Josh, and just talked more about the plan moving forward, make sure we got some all of our maintenance all taken care of for the summer. And I think Dr. Edwards has one thing she would like to share.
Great. Thank you.
I do. The facilities board has reached an agreement with Near East Timber Company, and they will be coming in to take down the trees. They're going to take down trees that are along the back of the property and then along the side of the property. They're going to leave several rows up at the front, but then the rest of them they are going to take down. So I am just sharing this with you on their behalf.
Thank you for sharing that. So I appreciate knowing that. And do we know when that's going to happen, Dr. Edwards?
Any day.
All righty. That sounds good. Campus will look very different, but that's all good. All right, Robbie, anything else?
Will there be a grubbing of the stumps? Do you happen to know, just out of information?
Yes, we have. Dave has been in touch with someone who is going to get a quote to them on what that's going to look like. Okay,
and so this may impact our maintenance for grass cutting and such for the year. So that's just something to be considering, more property maintained.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right. Anything else from facilities, Robbie? Or are we good?
So we also talked about some, future improvements. This is part of more, not so you just don't think it's a, just a reaction to something. It's part of a long-term strategic plan to try to help the kids have more space, more secure space now on campus. So Dr. Edwards is doing a great job, and Josh, even we're considering helping with the field out front, getting that to a point where we can actually utilize it without it being a injury-prone place So anyway, they're doing a great job. I just want to commend them for their continuous movement and help with the facility side.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
I completely concur with that. Thank you. And thank you for that. And for that update on facilities. Appreciate that. We will move on to ad hoc committees. Nicole, anything from systematic oversight calendar committee other than we are rocking and rolling with the SOC?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay. Perfect. C committee, Dawn and Paul, anything on there that you need to report?
No, did you say policy committee?
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
No, unfortunately. I'm giving my apologies to Jade already.
We're all good. We're all good. You guys have done a lot of work. We really appreciate it. Okay. Under unfinished business, Paul, the motions log ad hoc committee. I know you've got a large committee working on this. So
Yes,
how's
and
that been going?
we've taken a small sabbatical this month to reflect on the work that's been done thus far and prepare for the final stretch.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very much.
If I can just say, Paul, I'm sending a zip file with all the new. I also got a new computer, so I had to do this because of that. But then in cleaning a filing cabinet, I found a gigantic 3-ring binder filled with news items, news documents. So I will pass that along as well. It's not electronic.
I found.
I don't know if there might be something useful.
I was cleaning out and found something similar. So I've got a stack of things to scan on my desk and upload if we don't already have it on there. So
great. That's all good. That means we're going to have all the comprehensive stuff that we need. So thank you both for that. That's wonderful. The evaluation ad hoc committee met this month and worked on the evaluation for our superintendent, and we'll be presenting information about that in closed session tonight. And we'll be also working this coming month on developing the process and the plan for evaluation moving forward. So there's that. That's all the unfinished business. And under new business, I just want to take a couple of quick minutes here and recognize one of our board members who is sadly leaving us after tonight's meeting. Dawn Dixon, we want to thank you for your many, many years of service to News Charter School, to this board. Your contributions have been significant, to say the least. You have made a difference on this board. You've made a difference at News Charter School. And we're just super grateful for everything that you've done. And so to recognize you, we have a couple of things we want to surprise you with. First, the board came together and we have purchased a brick in your honor that will be laid by the flagpole, and it will it will have your name, News Charter School Board of Directors, your years of service, and thank you for your dedication to News Charter School.
Wonderful.
So we're really excited about that. We've ordered it, and I know they're laying the bricks in sort of in groups, so it may be a little while before that's there, but that will be a good excuse for you to come back to campus and visit, so you can see your brick, take a picture with it, all that good stuff. And Dr. Edwards wants to share a couple of other things that we're doing as well.
Well, I want to let you know that I reached out to Dave Neville, and he would like for me to share with you, I'm going to read this, that your service and leadership was second to none. And he is very excited for you, and yet we are all quite sad. But I know you are very excited too. On behalf of the staff, we have gotten you this plaque, and there's a terrible reflection on it right now, so I'm going to read it to you. It is the recognizes outstanding leadership, and it says, in recognition of your commitment, leadership, and vision while serving on the News Charter School Board of Directors, your contributions provided invaluable leadership and vision, which paved the way for News Charter School's legacy in Johnston County.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much.
And I have one more surprise for you. I don't have it to show you because it is still being created, but we did commission a sketch of the campus to also frame and give to you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love that, the story about the anniversary of charter schools. They use, the campus in the article recently. So yeah, that would be beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much. It certainly has been an honor serving with each and every one of you, and getting to know you as colleagues and friends, and my buddy Rodney. We so many fun talks and conversations over the years, and the same with everyone. Yes, we've had a lot of a good time, and I told Jane I am a just major supporter of school choice. And my decision to stay on the board after my kids went different directions was simply because I wanted this community to have educational opportunities, and I work every day in my other life trying to provide that to our community, and I will always be a supporter of News Charter School, and look out for the institution and what's best for it, and will be an advocate and always sing its praises. It's doing phenomenal things, and I'm so excited a little bit to leave, but also I know it's just in great hands with Jane and with Dr. Edwards, and I'm just so excited for all the things that I know are going to come down for
And
the
I'm
school
hoping
and
to
its students.
see
So-
you all back when we finally reopen our auditorium and we have another great production from News Charter School drama. So I'm definitely looking forward to that because everyone talked about The Wizard of Oz. So I think that was like one of the last big productions before we started the renovation. So I'm very excited for it to come back in a big way.
One thing we have to remember, so don't always use my quotes over the years. So hers was good to great, great to superior.
Yes.
There you go. Wow.
And we are on our way. We know that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate everything and wish all of you collectively and individually all the best.
Thank you so much. We wish you all the best. We are going to miss you, but as I've told you probably 10 times in the last couple of months, I still have your phone number. So I think most of us do, or all of us do. So you can expect that we will be reaching out if and when we have questions or concerns. But mostly we're grateful to you and excited that you are going to be able to focus a little bit more on your day job. And I know that that'll be really good, but you'll be missed and you've made a difference here. And we wanted to make sure that you knew that. So thank you.
I appreciate everything. I really do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I only lied a little when I said we were just going to thank you. Right. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to move into closed session for personnel and administration discussion per North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6.
I make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
You, Dawn. Thank you. Okay, great. Well, I sent the link. Everyone should have that to move into closed session, and so we'll see you all. Oh, wait, no, we got to vote. We had the motion. We got to vote. I'm putting myself cart ahead of the horse. Okay. All in favor of going into closed session? Nicole.
Aye.
Michelle.
Aye.
Dawn.
Aye.
Rodney.
Aye.
Robbie.
Aye.
And Paul.
Aye.
Okay, wonderful. All right, now I'll see you in closed session. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the superintendent's personnel recommendations.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you very much. All in favor? Dawn?
Aye.
Rodney?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion carries. As we have now completed the agenda for this evening, I hereby close this meeting of the News Charter School Board of Directors at 8:13 p.m. We are officially adjourned. Thank you all very much. Dawn, we're going to miss you.
Thank you so much for everything. It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure.
Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.